Well, what another anecdote?
Anecdote.
I always
You say antidote. You do
yes.
say antidote, and I told you.
And that's what, like if it's poison.
An antidote is what cures you.
Yeah, okay.
It cures what ails you.
So I will missay common things like that, and in the comments, people will be like, it's
not just in the comments. It's in your house as well.
The call is coming from inside the house. Anyways, anecdote. Thank you for fact checking me in real time.
Out for the...
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mostly Harmless, the podcast, episode 1.
Episode 1, the first step in a long journey.
Yes.
One can
hopefully.
hope. Oh, one can hope.
Hopefully. How do you feel, Matt, about being a handful of people's new favorite podcast?
Well, it's a refreshing
Definitely
change.
My parents, your mom.
It's refreshing to have people actually listen to the podcast that you do. I've done multiple podcasts over the years, and I think my peak viewership, we'll say, was in the tens. So it's nice to see that there are people who actually are interested in what I'm trying to say.
So for our first episode, I wanted to talk to you and get your take on Sister Wives, because you overhear a lot.
I do.
And as a curious bystander, I guess, what are your overall thoughts on the Brown family from what you've gleaned?
Well, it's in general, just as not including the kids, because there's too many kids and I don't really know any of their names, so I'm not even going to go into that. But when it comes to the married participants, or lack thereof at this point, Robin's been there. She only wants to be a sister wife, which it's so odd because I think I heard a clip from one of the most recent episodes where she was like, I didn't sign up for monogamy. And it's like, usually people are saying, like in Seek and Sister Wife, I didn't sign up for polygamy. So it's kind of an odd thing to hear, but I suppose, every coin has two sides to it.
Usually you don't want someone sleeping with your spouse.
Right. It's odd to me. And I'm going to just say on a human level, it's odd to me. I find that to be an interesting dynamic, to say the least. It's not something I'm really down for. It's not my jam, but I suppose not my circus, not my monkeys. That's the way I have to look at it. But so Robin's that one. She's always been that way, and sobbing they call her sometimes, because
There in the Sister Wives community, there are many a nickname for Cody and Robin.
Yeah. And it does seem, and it does play out that and it's odd because of this, I didn't sign up for monogamy, because you also seemed to be the catalyst of pushing everyone else out of the marriage. Mm-hmm. And then all you want to do is whine about how there's nobody in the marriage. I just want to sit on the porch with my sister wives. You had them at one point.
It's interesting because the Brown family, I don't know how unique this is in polygamy, because obviously neither one of us are familiar with
True.
Mormon fundamental polygamy.
True.
But the Brown family, so Cody married his first 3 wives, married Janelle and Christine, in pretty quick succession, like within 3 years or so. They were all married before they started having kids. So he married Christine like months before Janelle had their first kid, Logan. So after that, it was the 3 of them with Cody for 16 years. So sorry about that interruption. We will make it seamless, but we had to take a quick kid time out. So
them's the follies of running a show with children in tow.
Yes. But we were talking about the Brown kids. So they had all the kids in quick succession. Truly was the 13th child. She was born on the show in the first season. And then also during the first season, and by the way, I think I mentioned before, this was after 16 years. They had all been a family together.
Yep.
Then they get this show, and then Cody starts to court a woman 10 years younger than everyone else.
See, and that's like, I'm loath to cast stones or aspersions.
Well, okay, so let me ask you a question, because this is the forever, like, what came first, the chicken or the egg type thing. The forever question out there is, what was the catalyst to the downfall of this family? Was it the show? Was it Robin? Could one of those things have happened and the family stayed intact?
Well, I don't have all the information. I don't watch the show as like from the beginning. I see what you show me and what we watch together. So I don't have all the information on that. But I mean, it's very, very, very obvious, even from the most recent few seasons, that Cody is imploding and has been imploding for quite some time. And everyone was putting up with it until they decided, much in any situation, everybody puts up with it until they stop putting up with it. And then it became just like any true narcissist. Oh, everybody hates me. Nobody likes me. I'm going to eat some worms, you know? And it's just, and it's childish. And you could put Cody's picture in the dictionary under the word narcissist, because he doesn't have what looks to be a shred of empathy for anything that happens that doesn't directly involve himself.
Well, I don't know if you caught this, but in one of the first episodes of this season, Gabe, who is one of Janelle's sons, he goes over to Janelle's house, and Gabe famously, notoriously, a couple seasons back had revealed during one of his couch interviews that Cody calls him to like ask him about like when he had COVID, what were his COVID symptoms like? And it's on Gabe's birthday. And they have this whole conversation, and Cody doesn't even acknowledge Gabe's birthday. And Gabe cries in the couch confessional because it was very hurtful that his dad did not wish him a happy birthday.
Well, it has to have been, from my own experience, that has to have been the first time that your dad forgot your birthday. My dad has forgotten my birthday damn near 10 years running now.
Well, so at the time, there was this whole like talk in in the sister wife community. People are saying, it's not a big deal. Like my parent, whatever, has forgotten my birthday because we have like a big family too.
I don't resonate with that statement.
So neither do I, but at the same time, I only have a brother, so there was just the two of us. We're talking about your immediate parent.
Right.
I'm not talking about like my great aunt twice removed.
Hell, my uncles, and they do wish me a happy birthday.
My parent.
Right.
And so, yeah, I don't resonate with that either. And say you don't care if your birthday gets forgotten. That's great. Some people are like averse
Not
to
a lot
celebrating
of people care
their birthday.
for their birthdays.
So, and that's fine. Clearly, Gabe cared, and that's the point.
Well, and it might not even be that he cared so much about his birthday. It just cared about the thoughtlessness of, you're going to have a full conversation with me on my birthday.
Yeah.
From what I understand, you were more than likely there when I was born, Cody. And you won't even say it. It's all the me. Oh, I feel so horrible. What did he say? How did he describe his illness?
Oh, that he looked the Grim Reaper in the eye with a 99.8 temperature. In one of my last videos, I had said that like daycare won't even come make you pick up your kid if they have a 99.8. So, like they'll still watch your kid up to like 100.4 or something like that.
Not to compare shades of gray here, but in March of 2020, I had put off going to the hospital because or to go to a doctor to get a checkup for longer, much longer than I should. I was coughing. I had very bad congestion. I was literally at a point where I was starting to cough up blood. I finally took myself to the emergency room. And I mean, we had just had Penny. It was she was less than a year old at that point,
like 6 months.
So I went to this was before COVID tests were even around or readily available.
Was when in LA, literally, it was the same weekend as like lockdown, quarantine, or whatever. Yeah.
And I went in. We couldn't even go if you showed up to the hospital presenting with respiratory or self-stating.
Didn't they make you wait outside?
Me and about 5 or 6 other people were outside. This poor kid, same thing with cough. I got there before anyone. This kid was like, he really had to go to the bathroom. They wouldn't let him go inside to go to the bathroom.
Oh.
Yeah. So, because they had to be escorted to a room. And I'm like, I get it. But I said, take him first. I'm like, the poor kid's got to go to the bathroom. And then I go in there, and then they, the doc says, after stabbing my brain, I still have PTSD about those things. They did not know how to use them, and boy, they jammed that thing into my nose. And that was for just a standard flu test because they didn't have the COVID test at the time.
Yeah, they ruled everything else out.
But technically, they had said that I had 3 separate infections in my lungs: one in the left lung, one in the right lung, and one that was hanging out with both of those in the center.
Yeah,
but it was probably not COVID. That's what they said, because, there's no way you would have all these things. So I went to the hospital, and that was a nightmare.
Hospital, you were really sick. You were in the hospital, isolated
3 days.
For 3 days. Do you feel like you looked the Grim Reaper in the eye?
I feel if I had to compare straws, I would be the one closer to that. I was miserable. It was a horrible experience.
Not a good time.
It was not a happy time, but I was in the safest place I could have been.
And both of us had tested positive for COVID since then.
Yeah.
Not admitted to the hospital level, but like, it's not a good time.
No.
It's not. So this is not to say like Cody.
I'm sure you felt bad.
Yeah, like
but
we
again,
believe you felt bad.
He's a story topper. He's one of those people. I have to be worse than you. Everything is bad.
What's maddening about Cody is that at this same time he had a daughter that had spinal fusion surgery. Right. He had a granddaughter that had to have a limb amputated. Like,
oh no.
Yeah, she has a syndrome which caused her limbs to
not develop all the way.
Some didn't develop. So anyways, to give her a quality of life where she can walk and stuff. Yeah. Oh, and this kid, she is.
Oh, that's one of the. Right, it's the same thing with children.
Like her life is so much better that they did that, and that's why they did it. But anyways, it's still horrible. A risky surgery. Like, she was a baby.
Well, yeah.
when she had that surgery. Anyways, Cody's calling Janelle and Christine traveling for these surgeries vacations.
Yes.
It's like infuriating. So he is saying he met the Grim Reaper while all of these, he actually had family members, children and grandchildren actually have their life be put at risk.
Yeah. Judging from his self-stated symptoms, he was not even in what I would consider to be imminent peril.
What another anecdote? I always
you say antidote. You do say antidote, and I told you. And that's
what, like, if it's poison.
An antidote is what cures you.
Yeah. Okay.
It cures what ails you.
So I will missay common things like that, and in the comments people will be like, it's not just in the comments,
it's in your house as well.
The call is coming from inside the house. Anyways, anecdote. Thank you for fact checking me in real time. Part of the Cody's whole COVID lore saga, if you will, is so they are self-filming. He and Robin and their household get COVID, and Robin goes to the ER. Cody is filming himself in his car. He doesn't feel good, but he is so, and this is actually disturbing. He is so hesitant to essentially allow Robin to be there by herself. He is trying to think of ways to con his way into the ER.
I don't understand. I don't get him. I don't understand it. And again, the man should have gone to the ER himself. Like,
if he felt like that.
You're saying I looked the Grim Reaper in the face. It's like, okay, well, most people who look the Grim Reaper in the face are usually on their deathbed, which is usually at a hospital, which is where you would go. And it's just that baby, I can't, we'll call it a man flu kind of thing, where it's just like, oh, it's the worst thing ever. Meanwhile, you have grandkids with amputated limbs and stuff like that. Just, it's sad. Have some perspective.
I know.
I mean, I don't know. It's just, he's a wild narcissist. And then this whole season, I'm hearing this whole what was he saying? It's my fault that I love them, and it's my fault that they don't love me anymore. And I'm like, dude, that's not how it's not how it works. When you're doing an after report of your failed relationships, of course you're going to have some choice things to say.
Giving like an exit.
Yeah, it's the after action report. That's what it is when you're done. And of course you're going to have some choices. It's the same thing as when what's her face, I don't know if it was Mary or the other one that was saying, Janelle, that was going, would I ever date him again? I wouldn't. It's like, yeah, of course you wouldn't, knowing now what you knew then. But that's the whole thing about perspective and hindsight.
Yeah.
Whereas he has just a self-focal view.
Yeah. Well, and so to wrap that all the way back around to Gabe. So he forgets Gabe's birthday, calling Gabe. So this, over the course of 3 seasons, a couple years, we see Gabe and Garrison really struggle with their relationship with Cody because they were so close to him before. Cody historically has had an easier time relating to his boys than his girls. That's been discussed on the show. And, the boys that played the sports that Cody was into,
Right, as long as you're doing what daddy likes, daddy loves you.
Yeah, exactly. So...
The women are not allowed to play the same sports, so he's not going to want to hang out with the girls as much.
Cody is probably not the only dad or parent that has happened with. But yeah, so... That was pointed out when the anthropology students came and observed the family. They noticed that Cody related easier to the boys and spent more time at Robin's house. Shocker. But anyways, so in the last few years, we see especially Gabe and Garrison really struggle with this changing dynamic between them and their dad. They had such a close relationship with him, or at least they felt like they had such a close relationship with him. And now they haven't seen him in 9 months. Mm-hmm. Gabe said on the show someone could have had a baby in the time that they hadn't seen their dad. So they're trying to, there was a scene where they're out on Coyote Pass and Gabe is really trying to just plead with his dad. What do we need to do in order to see you? Right?
Yep.
So anyways, in season 19, Gabe has essentially said, you know what, to hell with you about his dad. That's his clearly his body language and his whole vibe about his dad is what it is.
Well, and you know what, these kind of people, there's a type of person that is Cody and those kinds of people. And it is the same everyone. They love to throw around phrases like, the phone works both ways. They can call me too. Right. But you always forget about the phone working both ways also means you can call your kids
Cody
as well.
Literally said that in the tell-all that the phone works both ways. And it was like,
yep. That means that you can call them too. Because what you're describing is that the phone only works one way when your kids call you.
Right.
Both ways means if you haven't heard from your kids in a while, go reach out and call your kids.
So speaking of reaching out, apparently Cody did reach out to Gabe and only to tell Gabe, hey, I just want to let you know that I forgive you.
Great.
And Gabe was like, forgive me. What did I do?
And I'll tell you what that is. I'll tell you exactly what that is. That's him trying to get I forgive you for all. I'm coming up. I'm going to be the bigger man. And I'm going to say that I forgive you.
Right.
But what I really want you to say is that you forgive me so that I can go to bed with my little notepad with all my boxes checked saying that everybody loves me and I'm good to go. My kids are fine. He says he forgive me. We're done. That's the end of this conversation. And they'll never bring it up again. Mm-hmm. That is exactly what that is. It's fishing, because you're like, okay, I'll throw it out there. And it's like, I just want, because that also represents inside of him psychologically that he has a want for his kids to at least surface level say things like, I forgive you, I love you, blah, blah, blah. But he just needs to hear it and be done with it and check that box and walk away. That's what it is. It's textbook of how someone like that acts. And there's so many people, and you see it in all kinds of reality. So first of all, you have to be a special kind of narcissist to want to be on a reality TV show at all. It's just in general. And none of the kids signed up for this. The adults are the ones who all put on this, and then they all got waivers and whatnot. So all these adults, if you agreed to be on a reality show, you were some kind of full of yourself. That's just the beginning of any of these things. And then you only blow that balloon up as big as it'll get. And there are certain people like, who's the one that just got remarried? I'm bad with names. Christine, who seems to kind of be mellowing down into where she wants to be right now. And the other two are kind of getting where they're at, you know what I mean? And Cody's balloon is, he's still pumping that pump to get that his ego. But what's happening to his balloon is it's about to explode, because without wives, there's no show. If all the other wives, and it was just Cody and Robin, they would literally have to switch the show over to Seeking Sister Wife.
Well, so I have a theory, and I've talked about it in my in previous videos, but I think that Cody realizes there's nothing he can do to alter the public opinion of him.
He's done enough.
And now he doesn't have the OG3 is what we call them in circles.
I liked how, I think it was Mary that had mentioned the 3 rings falling off of the in their start logo where the rings fall off. And she was just like, oh, it was so crazy.
Well, so he has famously called it a cloak of charity, where none of the parents basically talk shit about each other on the show. But he doesn't have that anymore. Janelle, Christine, and Mary have no motivation.
What reasoning would they have not to?
Exactly. So he has, in my opinion, fully embraced being the villain.
I'm gonna be the devil they think I am.
Exactly. And so now, because we do want to watch Mary, Janelle, and Christine life after polygamy.
I want to see Cody crash and burn, to be fair.
Exactly. The show needs a villain. So people will still tune in to watch Cody be an asshole.
I don't think the show needs a villain. I think there are many roads to travel. The show didn't have villainous actions. They had people, humans, who would from time to time...
We pigeonholed... Pigeonholed?
Pigeonholed. Pigeonholed? I don't think you can use pigeonhole. Pigeonholed.
We pigeonholed dead Robin as the villain, right off the bat. She's always been the homewrecker.
True, but but is she though? Because who brought her into the relationship? She didn't just come in out of nowhere. She didn't just shoehorn her way in there. This guy went 16 years, basically went out looking for some strange because he was tired of the same 3 women. And I'm not talking on my ass on this one. He basically says as much, oh, do I love her anymore? No, but I'll stay with her because we're married. And it's like... the most ridiculous thing. So it's like, Robin's a silly, silly person. And a lot of things you can throw at her, and you can definitely pin a lot of the ire and angst on her. But you have to remember that Cody picked up that person and dropped her kicked the hornet's nest and just said, let's have fun with it. That wasn't, I'm sure her intention originally, and I'm going to give her credit for that, was not to, because she is bitching and moaning about just wanting to sit in a porch with her sister wives. Great. That's what she wanted. So if you think about that and you say, well, why would she have wanted to destroy this and get everybody out of the house because all she wants? No, but Cody Cody just said, this is mine. I want this. I'm a man. I'm taking what I want. And then my religion, up until this point, was with me. The church was with me. Now they're not too kind, right? Isn't it right now the church and him are at odds? I mean, the long and the short of it is Cody was the one who kicked the hornet's nest. And like Robin, you can throw the darts and you can pin the tails and you can do all you want with her. And she definitely has a lot of culpability in this situation. But Cody was the one who created the situation. You can't blame the product of two things you put together knowing this is what was going to happen. Like, you literally basically you traded in for a newer model and immediately stopped hanging out with the rest of your wives.
Yes.
And all of that stuff is on Cody. That's not on her.
He just didn't fake the funk anymore.
Right. He was like, I'm basic. It's funny because in polygamy, this, I guess, is how it works. But in a monogamy situation, this is the guy who cheats on his wife, leaves his wife, marries the new one, cheats on that wife, leaves the wife, marries the new one, and then finds someone who he kind of resonates with, realizes he's on the back nine and probably doesn't have a whole lot of getting more wives in him at this point, and decides to buckle down. Well, I don't want to be a monogamist, but I don't really see myself going to get more wives. No, I don't think a lot of people, especially knowing that you're a public figure on a TV show, it's not hard to vet Cody Brown. If you want to go to, like, unless the church, which I believe the church does, assigns him a new wife, other people, if you have a choice, you can just watch the show and be like, why would I want to be with this man-child?
Oh, but there's women who write to serial killers in prison.
Well, right.
Cody could find another wife.
Well, the difference is the serial killers in prison, you're not getting a week-to-week update on their stupidity and their childishness and how shitty they treat their family. So, yeah.
Are you saying Cody is worse than a serial killer?
Serial killer in jails, they're in jail. They can continue killing.
So there is this, like, psychology, this theory that I mean, and I guess it's like mostly women that write to like male serial killers, and it's
sure.
like, you know where your man is, basically, like.
Well, and it's the same as with Love After Lockup. It's like once they get out and they're free and they're not relying on you, there's going to be differences.
Yeah, the relationship falls apart.
But no, just in general, Cody is just a textbook narcissist, and he wants to go around and say, oh, I'm doing all this because this is what, I don't even think he's saying this is what God wants me to do anymore. Like, no. He's thrown the book out.
What's really interesting about Cody is that now that this family has like fallen apart, it's imploded, and everyone's pointing the finger at him, all of a sudden he's lost his religion.
Yeah. Well, the religion is not going to protect you
anymore. Yeah. The church is just trying to, because the church granted Mary a spiritual release, or like their version of a divorce.
An annulment, basically.
Based off of abandonment.
Yeah.
And he's like, I never abandoned Mary. Like, I carted her along this whole time.
Oh, yep. I just kept that lame horse around. Just didn't want to turn her into glue right away. It's stupid. Yeah. And the thing is I hear everyone throwing shade on Robin. And yeah, I see Robin for what she is.
Do not come on this podcast.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Defend Robin.
I'm just saying, point your gun.
I will edit this out so fast.
No, just point your target at the catalyst, not the result.
Okay, true. Fair. Cody is the catalyst, but they are both malintended people.
Well, yeah, but her intention wasn't to break up the marriage, because that's literally all she wanted, was to have her sister wives. And it's pathetic to hear her whine about it.
She didn't want the sister wives to have the sister wife relationship. She wanted the sister wives revenue stream.
Well, yeah, and then that's its own thing. Again, you're jumping on the bandwagon. You're gonna Was Robin from the beginning of the show, or did she?
No, and see, that's why, to bring it back to like that question that is forever talked about in the sister wives community, like what what was the catalyst for the downfall of the family? Was it Robin or was it the show? Because both of them happened at the same time.
I mean, it's Cody. It's Cody. Like you really, you can't throw stones.
I don't disagree with that, but do you think, I mean, and I don't know if you know enough about like the family and the family dynamic, and I don't know if you've seen enough episodes, but I guess I'll ask you anyways. Do you think that had another wife, so knowing what you know, 3 wives, already married for 16 years, they get a TV show, do you think that they would have stayed as a family?
It's possible. Absolutely possible, because your unit was functioning at what we'll call status quo for like many years, 16 years.
Yeah.
And aside from the fact
that
we're
certainly happy.
Right. And aside from the fact that, yes, complacency and what they say, familiarity breeds contempt and all that, like, but no more so, I would imagine, maybe a little bit faster, is that going to affect a marriage than it would in a monogamous relationship, right? So, like, eventually, 16 years down the line, in some marriages, you see people's eyes start to wander. You see people's fervency for wanting to spend time together start to deteriorate. It's not with everybody, but it is with some people, especially when one person is the big figurehead of the family, like Cody, who's just, toting out, I'm the big guy, I'm the boss, I'm champion of every cause in the world. And then the everybody else is just little pawns for him to play with, as it seems, it's always been that way.
The other hand, let's say they don't get a TV show, but he acquires Robin. Anyways.
Well, and
do you think Robin in and of herself was enough to put enough of a wedge in the family dynamic to be the catalyst that led to its downfall?
I don't necessarily think that she was the straw that broke the camel's back in that situation. And just from my, like I said, limited knowledge of the show, but I've heard enough to gauge an opinion on how things go. And then I listen to what you guys talk about. I don't think that just adding Robin was the fuel that set everything on fire. I do think that if there was no show, that it's a huge possibility that their marriage would have continued status quo.
My personal feeling has always been that this family could have probably withstood a great deal, but they couldn't withstand Robin. I think, in my opinion, Robin was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think that the show could have come in, but I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not going to say I completely disagree with you, and I will say that from a standpoint of not having
it would have been a really different show.
What I will say is, and this counts, I worked in reality television for years. I worked on The Bachelor, and it's a certain point of us watching at home, us watching the confessionals, us seeing us watch a bunch of different shows. People talk shit about each other behind each other's back. They're gonna watch it. They're gonna see the show. There's no secrets anymore. You can't do something behind Cody's back now. You can't make an offhanded comment anymore. Now, Cody, who is a narcissist, which I will continue to say, which that means he is probably ironing not only every completed episode of the show, but I am sure that he probably watches the dead footage that doesn't make it in as well to see every mention of him. Without a TV show, that wouldn't be an issue. With a TV show, he has every off-color comment. He has every little person, including cast and crew and anyone who is caught on a hot mic, which happens all the time.
Oh, and production talk mad shit.
I worked for The Bachelor. I worked for The Bachelor for a number of years, and I talked endless amounts of shit about the people who worked there, and I'm not afraid to say that. Not the people who worked for the show, though I have probably plenty of things to say about those, but the people who were on the show. And as a person who's going to comb through for what he's looking for is ego-boosting positivity, but what we know when we go to the comment section is the comment section is not a nice place. Right. And the comment section of him is going to be 24 hours a day of footage. It's how these shows work. It is 24 hours a day, sometimes more because they have multiple cameras running, of footage. And as this show has gone on for years and years and years, it's 24 hours a day of probably more and more and more, the margin of people shit-talking him going up every time. So now he is starting to unravel, and we'll say that the unraveling started years and years ago. But he is starting to unravel because now he is constantly seeing not only production, but the people online are agreeing with it. And you know he's in all the comments. You know he's watching. Maybe he doesn't watch this show, but I'm sure he watches other shows where people talk about him. And just like any normal human, which I wouldn't constitute him as a normal human, but any normal human hearing shit about themselves, it's gonna affect you.
Yeah.
It's going to.
I will never forget being called pancake
face. My little pancake face. And so my thought on it is, again, I'm not necessarily defending Robin, but I'd say give credit where it is due. Is a person who is slowly and more quickly now unraveling, brought someone into this marriage.
That is so interesting, Matt. And I don't think I ever really looked at it that way. Because
they watch the confessionals. They see all the footage.
Yes. We know that they watch the confessionals. Cody has talked on the show about the fact that people sit in these chairs and talk shit about him, blah, 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 blah. So, yes, we know he watches the show. But we in this community have talked because there was like a marked change. Like Cody was probably a liar in the early seasons, but he was an enjoyable person to watch on reality television.
He wasn't this you called him, a villain that he created himself into.
I can hardly stand to watch him on my TV and things that he comes out of his mouth.
Even take those things that we just talked about, now lump it into, you have wives that are in the process of leaving you. Yeah. And not only do you have that firsthand contact, but you're also seeing what they're saying about you to other people live.
No, but what I'm saying is, I think an interesting point that you just made was that because we talk in this community about what happened to Cody, how did he go from, because I talk all the time on my show that I can't believe I liked Cody for like the first 4 seasons. I was so yeah, people should be able to get married, live how they want, blah, blah, blah. But
well, you can agree with that and not,
Well, what's so bad about polygamy, blah, blah, blah. And
well, they took the time to show you.
They took 19 whole seasons
the time to show
so
you.
far. But so it was even his eye color is darker. His
ringlets have gotten more pronounced.
Yeah, he has changed, not for the better.
He has gotten lots of Botox. His face looks like there was a season that he must have just gotten it before they started.
He probably learned, and it was you never do something fresh after Botox. You have to let that settle for a couple days,
right?
And then you can be amongst the people.
Yeah.
Everyone, a lot of people.
Yeah,
make
well,
that
and listen,
mistake,
no
so,
shade on that, because I mean, listen, if you're gonna want to look your best when you're on the camera.
This podcast is brought to you by Botox,
But it is funny, and it's because, you start wanting to make yourself look better, then you hear people shit talking you, and you try to do more things that you think that are going to make people change their opinions about you, but all people are going to just continue to do is have their opinions about you, and it's going to drive you nuts. And a person who definitely should go to therapy, Cody Brown, would be able to talk with someone about that kind of look inward, stop looking outward for validation, because you're not going to find a lot of validation outward. A lot of people are not liking you, and you basically started telling people that you don't give a shit anymore, which is fine, but you clearly do give a shit that people don't like you.
In season 15, he said a couple things. One thing he said was that he didn't want to advocate for plural marriage anymore because he has all the love he wants, and all these other hags, whatever, they're just annoying him at that point. And then another thing he said was that he viewed the family as an obstacle to his own goals, which this is what I want to wrap up on for this episode. The whole point of Mormon fundamental polygamy is to be fruitful and multiply, right? And how you need a base level amount of wives. So I think the base level is 3. And you need to have, and the more kids you produce elevates you to higher levels of the celestial kingdom. So it's a numbers game. And so how does that make sense that if your goal is to obtain higher levels in the celestial kingdom, how is your family an obstacle?
Yeah, I'm going to just have to keep my mouth shut on the religious aspect of it, because I have plenty of things to say about the the management of the Mormon religion, but I'll stay out of that quagmire, if you will.
Well, just purely on, so to me, that says
family would be the goal, not the obstacle.
Well, and there were so many things about this that like never made sense to me. That because it should be a numbers game. Your happiness need not be a factor in that.
And there's plenty of all kinds of religions don't account for happiness. It's about, here's your job, do your job. It's very simple. But it's like, when you're saying that my family is an obstacle to my goal, what are your goals is I guess the question.
Marriage for love is also
that's relatively
fairly new concept in and of itself. But Cody saying the family is an obstacle to his own goal is just comical, given that what he has professed to us for over a decade is that his goal is to be like the perfect polygamist.
I love my family. My family's my family is my goal. All the things that I do are to support and continue to support my family. So it blows my mind that I guess a person who is so mired in the religious aspect of it is trying to say that his goals are different. What are his goals? Did he ever illuminate us as to what his goals were that the kids were getting in the way of?
Right, exactly. What are your children getting in the way of?
And then he's also got he has that perfect 18, not my problem anymore.
Which was a fairly new concept for him too, because he years prior when his older children were getting ready to go off to college, he would get really emotional and get upset and say, I want my kids to all live at home and blah, blah, blah. So that was a fairly new concept for him, that he wanted to kick everyone out. And it was only the kids that were going against what he was saying.
Because it's you're with me or you're against me. There's no we're all existing. We're all allowed to have our own firmly held ideals as to what we want from this life. No. If you're not with me, you're against me. And that's just textbook narcissism.
And if you're not with me, you're dead to me.
Right.
Is how Cody operates.
When I heard the post-COVID season where he was just and I'm waiting for my children to apologize to me when I wouldn't allow them in the house and blah, blah, blah. And it's I wouldn't apologize to him to save my life. If I needed a kidney and he was the only donor, I'd say I've had a good run. The way that someone could be that callous with their family and so transactional with everything, it's a big if then. Everything has to be, well, if I do this, then you have to do that. If I do this, I'm just trying. I want your happiness brings me happiness. Your happiness brings me happiness. Penny and Anson's happiness bring me happiness. Mm-hmm. That's a perfect cycle for me. So the more I can make you happy, the happier I'm going to be. Him, it's, well, if I want to be happy, you have to do everything to make that possible. And if you don't, you're actively sabotaging my life. He always throws out these big words. It's like when he did the whole culpable and I got a knife in the kidney. And it's dude, just you have to be at a 10 for everything that you say.
He's a character.
Exactly. He's a Muppet. He's a Muppet, and he sounds like a Muppet. And yep, I'm going to throw that one out there, because when you're trying to sound tough and you're trying to be like, oh, I'm going to be the devil they think I am now. Oh, I'm going to be the devil they think I am now. Like, yeah, you don't sound very tough. So find another line, buddy. Like, don't treat your family like shit and wonder why they don't like you very much.
I can't imagine. Like, this man has 18 kids. And I mean, I do think that he has kids that obviously have held a door open to have a relationship with him. But the majority of it, could you imagine having that many kids and say you like become like medically dependent, right? Like, who's going to step up? He had 4 wives and 18 kids, and his prospects are slim.
Well, but you dig your own grave. Robin
couldn't even raise her kids. She had to hire in help.
But what does the nanny do?
So she's not going to take care of Cody if Cody needs like... No.
Well, but it's the same thing. It's like, but that's the baseline is, you know, a lot of people in life in general, and this is not Cody, this is just a general thing, is you think if you do good and you do right by your family, that at least I'm going to take care of you now, you take care of me later. That's the social contracts for your kids, you know. Hopefully it's not so bad that, you know, your kids' their whole lives get thrown out of order trying to help you out, blah, 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 blah. That's normal to think that way, you know, like, help me out when I'm a little older. Him, it's like, I deserve you to help me, and I'm not even asking you to help me. You should have already been helping me, and the fact that you're not helping me do anything, I don't like that. And that's bad. And then you have to apologize to me for not living up to my expectations. And it's like, I don't know how else I could say it without using the word narcissist again. Like, It really is, and that's a problem. It is a problematic way to live. It's to live in that level of me. It's all about me. Everything that I do, and then I'll be taken care of in the afterlife or whatever. And good on you, good for you if that's the way it's going to go for you. But I'm pretty sure there's a morality to it, and I don't think a lot of the stuff that he does is rooted in morality. It's rooted in selfishness and self-centeredness. It's just about me. It's the Cody Brown show. Cody Brown with blah, 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 blah. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. And it's just sad because those kids, it's the same as when you see someone in an abusive relationship and they have kids. Yeah. Those kids are going to think that's okay. Those kids are going to grow up thinking that's the way love should be. And if 18 of those kids, even half of them make it out without coming into some sort of a way that they think that love is purely transactional, and that the patriarch, the father of the family deserves everything without any, respect isn't given, it's earned, like it's just sad to think that you grow up and they don't have any other way to look at it, because that's not only is it their parents, but it is such a multitudinous group of people they're growing up with that are all in the same group. Their friends are their brothers and sisters, because you have 18 people rolling around. I mean, yeah, there's age gaps and stuff like that, but they're growing up seeing that that's the way that it's okay to be in a relationship like this.
Yeah.
And imagine if the first date we went on, I was like Cody Brown, like, of course, I'm paying for dinner, so I'm expecting something at the end of this meal. That's that way. That's that narcissism. And in his mind, well, that's transactional. That's the way it should be. Man pays for dinner, the woman, whatever happens afterwards happens. And that's because that's what I did. So I did my part, you do your part. It's like nowhere in his life is it, I would like to do something nice for you just to do something nice for you. If I got you a $100 gift card or $100 necklace for your birthday, and you didn't get me something of equal value for my birthday, you're a piece of shit. That's what it is. And it's a shitty way of going through life, but not for him, because for him, everyone is failing him and it's not his fault. Whereas for everyone else, he is a failure as a father, he is a failure as a husband, but it's not his fault. It's everyone else's fault.
Yeah.
So that's why it's my fault that they love me. It's my fault that I love them. No, that's not how love works. It's nobody's fault that you love each other. It's how life works. But only a person who cares about no one else but themselves believes that love could be someone's fault. Really.
Yes. To wrap up, Matthew, this has been a lovely conversation about sister wives. Do you believe that love should be multiplied and not divided?
That's none of my business. I mean, I don't care what anyone, in the comfort and privacy of your own homes, go for it. But if you're gonna
consenting adults,
right,
yes.
right.
Yeah.
If you're gonna shove your relationship in my face on a television show, I'm gonna have an opinion about it. Right. But that's what you want, right? Isn't that the whole point? Is for people to have an opinion about a reality show? Like, who's going on a reality show being like, well, they're just following me, but everyone's going to agree.
Well, do you believe that love can be multiplied?
I don't know. In my own personal life, I believe that I have the most love that I would ever need with my wife and my kids.
I certainly think that there are dynamics and people out there that make non-monogamy
I think
work.
Non-traditional relationships are perfectly acceptable in some cases.
I don't see a healthy example of that in Mormon fundamental polygamy.
No. And no, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's because, and this is just where I'll touch on when it comes to, you have your book, your religious Bible. I'm not sure what the book that they got from.
They have
Mormon,
the Bible,
the Book of Mormon,
and then they have the Book of Mormon.
And that book is a textbook guide to how you're supposed to live. Here's how you do it. Here's how you take your families. This is what you're supposed to do, and this is how you're supposed to do it. So, that, if you're doing it wrong, it's only because that's how you were told to do it. You know what I mean? Whereas other people's non-traditional relationships, where some people might be in a polyamorous kind of situation and nobody's getting hurt, fine. I mean, again, it's not my jam, but you're not hurting anybody. You're happy, have fun, but you're also kind of playing that on your own terms. No one wrote a book about how you're supposed to do it and said, if you don't follow this step by step, you're going to burn in hell for the rest of your life. We all know, I grew up as a Catholic. The burn in hell for the rest of your life thing is a pretty final, I don't want to do the things that get me to that part.
No.
So, and that's it. If you're told how to do something and it doesn't come off as great, well, that's how you were told. That's the whole religion. The whole aspect of him having his multiple wives is all based was originally based in religion, and his religion told him how to do it and what should be happening. And then what happens, you tell me, what happens when, let's go as simple as an IKEA furniture assembly. The IKEA furniture assembly instructions are telling you what should happen. You read the instructions, you open the box, half of the parts aren't in there. But what should happen is you have a table. But now you don't have a table. So you get really frustrated because what should happen is not happening. And by all accounts, it's not your fault. It's the guy who packed the box's fault. It's the guy who wrote the book's fault because he told me how it should happen. It's not happening. Well, that's all I have to say in regard to Cody and all the nonsense that he exists in a cloud of nonsense of his own design, but that's his jam. We gotta wrap it up. We got kids. We gotta roll down. Penny already barged in here one time. We gotta keep it going.
Yes.
But I hope you all enjoyed my thoughts on the Brown family. And going forward, we'll talk about a bunch of topics. This was just what we'll call dipping our toes in the water. We're trying to get that built-in audience for these ones.
Yes.
But we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. I do have thoughts on reality shows. I don't talk about a lot of them. I don't watch all of them. So there's going to be a few we talk about. We'll talk about all kinds of things. So stay tuned. Check out the website. It has the most recent episodes of all the things on level42studios.com. Any questions you guys have, you can reach out at info@level42studios.com. If you ever have anything you'd like us to talk about, there's messaging spot on the website. You could send us a note just right through the website and just say, hey, I'd like to hear your thoughts on X, Y, and Z. And either we get to it or we don't.
But we probably will get to it.
Because there's nothing like having content given to you.
Yes.
As opposed to content you have to create from nothing.
Yes.
But that's it for tonight. We got to go. So it's been real.
And remember to do mostly no harm.
Have a good one.
Bye.